Let's rank the last 8 MCU movies, because this should be really fun and no one will get mad over somebody's subjective opinion, right? Clear number 1 is going to be No Way Home. I think that's a no-brainer, and I think 95% of people would probably agree with that. The only major problems is a few plot holes you could poke out with this movie, but other than that, it's solid. Number 2, I'm going to have to go with Shang-Chi. I thought this movie was absolutely incredible. One of the best origin stories in the MCU, if not the best. Probably the best fight choreography, also the humor was mixed in well. The only real problem I have is the third act was probably drawn out a little too long. After that, I'm going to have to go with Wakanda Forever. I think they handled T'Challa's death beautifully and with a lot of taste. I loved seeing Shuri come into her own in this movie. Her story was actually really riveting, and I thought Namor was one of the most intimidating villains that we've had in the MCU. And I'm so thankful they didn't just fucking kill him off. The Eternals probably a lot higher than most people. I think people were too quick to shit on this movie when it first came out. And a lot of people beg for the MCU to do something new and different and have projects that can stand alone. This is all of those things. Chloe Zhao's cinematography was fucking gorgeous. The only problem is the cast is just a little overcrowded and it's hard to develop a true appreciation for all of the characters simultaneously. After that, I'm going with Quantumania. I think people are overly hating on this movie. It's far from the worst MCU project. It's a solid 6. It's not great, but it's not horrible. I think the MCU has probably about 15 movies that feel exactly like this. It's very formulaic. It was genuinely funny. I enjoyed it. I loved the action scenes. I thought that the plot kind of fell apart in the third act, and somebody should have fucking died. After that, I got Multiverse of Madness. Wanda was an intimidating villain. I thought Sam Raimi's direction and the horror elements of this movie were fucking awesome. Fighting, on the other hand, of this movie was not that fantastic. There's really no clear A plot and B plot, and I think that made the pacing of it way too quick. Although I will say I love the magic in this movie. I'm glad it was so different. While I love comedy and don't hate this movie as much as a lot of people do, it's still not a great movie. I think they should have focused on Jane a lot more in her story with cancer. I think Korg should have died so it at least had some kind of emotional stakes, and a lot less of the goats probably would have helped. Finally, at number 8, I have Black Widow. This movie was just terribly out of place, and it's really not fair to judge it like this. It should have came out years ago, and it's also just paced really, really poorly. Taskmaster was a wasted villain. I hated what they did with her. I do think, however, that the movie had a really important message with Dreykov in the Red Room. I'm glad that they were able to relay that. There was just so many things in this movie that held it back.